Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever edition of Magazine Mayhem, or Mag Mayhem for short. So this is going to be a brand new series on the channel where I'm going to be talking about magazines. Look at these lovely magazines all over the desk. So of course I talk about a lot of stuff from the past, but one thing that I've always wanted to do is magazines, books and things like that, because I used to read a lot as a kid, and that included lots of books and lots of magazines, and they'd make magazines out of everything pretty much back then. So any sort of show you could think of, they'd make a magazine out of it, or even every TV channel would have its own magazine, and just anything, you know, even sometimes specific movies would have their own magazines. It was there was that much stuff around that they'd make all these magazines out of for kids to buy. So I have a few magazines here as an example, like this, the official PlayStation 2 magazine, which I used to collect all the time because I used to love the PlayStation, so I'd always buy the magazine. And that's definitely a strange being on the cover, isn't it? What is that? What is that creature? That is the nightmare face. He's coming to get you in your sleep. Yeah, definitely. I used to collect that magazine all the time. So this is another one called Disney Big Time. So this was a popular kids magazine that was sort of had a bit of everything. So you can see Star Wars on here. So that's Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars Episode 3, and Mario in his heyday on the GameCube. And what is that? Winx Club and Doctor Who. That was new. Captain Scarlet in his CGI incarnation. But yeah, this was a big magazine back then. I guess it's called Big Time, so it has to be a big magazine. So that was another one that we used to read. Here's FBX, which was a boys magazine for lots of boy stuff. So Pokemon was on this, and Robot Wars. That was why I used to buy it, because sometimes they do Robot Wars stuff. And Johnny Bravo too, so he was on here. But the thing about this magazine is that I used to collect it all the time, but no one ever mentions it. I've never heard anyone talk about it before, so hopefully I can do more of an explanation on that someday. But the one we're going to be talking about today is this, the Cartoon Network comic. So this is the first ever issue of the Cartoon Network magazine that they used to put out, and I always used to collect this every Friday after school. It would always be, come out of school and go to Tesco and get this from your local news agent. And this used to be my one of my favourite magazines, because obviously I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network and it was my favourite channel back then. I'd always be watching Cartoon Network. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the whole issue and just offer some thoughts and commentary and things like that. And maybe you might even see some story time, so because there's comics in here, so maybe you'll get to hear me read you a little bedtime story, perhaps, from Cartoon Network, which I'm sure won't be nightmarish for any of you to hear me read some of these comics. But yeah, so hopefully this won't take too long. Hopefully these can just be quick things where I go through these kids' magazines one issue at a time. And before I start, if you are watching this early on Patreon, then thank you very much for supporting the channel, because this is the first early access Patreon video. So I have a Patreon now, so for £2 a month you can support the channel and you'll get videos a week early, and you'll get your name at the end of every video. So at the end it'll say a big thank you to John or James or Jim or whoever supports the channel. But yeah, so if you have supported the channel and you're watching this on Patreon, then thank you very much, because that means a lot, and it means we can make the channel even bigger and better, like this wacky overhead camera setup I just bought, so which looks really wacky actually, looking at it this way, but it means I can talk about magazines and things like that from a top-down perspective, so that's really helpful. So yeah, thank you to anyone who's bought a VHS tape from the eBay store or supported the channel on Patreon. But now that's all sorted, let's dive right into the first issue of this Cartoon Network magazine. It's going to be fun, so let's get going. So yeah, let's get started with this magazine, and of course the best place to start is with the cover. So of course big Cartoon Network logo up front, and it's called the Comic Special. The Special? I don't know why it uses the word special. Maybe this was just sort of a periodic magazine, perhaps. Maybe they only released it seasonally at first or something like that, so it started off as a special and maybe it evolved into a more regular magazine, and it was £1.75 which was pocket money price back then. Even though I didn't really have pocket money when I was a kid, it was more like, Mum, please, can I have this, please? Okay. So, yeah, that was how I used to get my magazines, just by begging. And the cover has most of the shows that were new at the time, so Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken, Johnny Bravo, and the Flintstones, which I guess is the only old one, because they were trying to promote the newer ones, I guess, so not as much as the older cartoons, even though Cartoon Network used to show a lot of older stuff, like the Flintstones and all that Hanna-Barbera stuff. Is it Hanna-Barbera or Hanna-Barbera? I always forget how to pronounce that. I don't know if it's just me, but yeah, let's just open up the magazine and we can see inside. So yes, here we go, and of course there's loads of adverts in the magazine. So this is for Tiger Games, so the antidote to board games. So yeah, that was those were the Tiger board games they used to put out back then. They used to have loads of those in the Argos catalogs and stuff like that, and those horrible cheap plastic video games, quote unquote, they used to put out. And this, of course, is issue 1, or issue numero uno, they call it. Issue numero uno. So yeah, they were a bit quirky with the style of this magazine, I guess. And it features the Flintstones, pin-ups, which are posters, yeah, pin-ups, networked, so the latest happenings on the Cartoon Network. The Cartoon Network, yeah. Not just Cartoon Network, it was the Cartoon Network. So let's turn the page, and here we have, a comic, of course. So yeah, it wouldn't be a magazine, would it, without a comic of some kind. And this is a Dexter's Laboratory comic. Dexter, of course, being the boy genius with the amazing laboratory. And it seems to be very in style with the cartoon. So let's give the comic a little read, shall we? Have a bit of story time, perhaps. At last, my greatest work is completed. After countless eons, only I, Dexter, could capture the sweet scientific juices of the mystery formula. Oh, how long I've waited to taste the uncontrollable power of this sweet enigma. Meow. Oh, what an adorable little kitty. Kitty? Oh no, that could mean only one thing. Hi! Dee Dee. Dee Dee, what are you doing in my lab? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is definitely Dexter. This is pretty much what every cartoon was like. Dee Dee would always come in and wreck his day. No, don't drink that. I don't know what it will do. Meow. Dexter, look at what you've done. What do you mean what I've done? That was your cat. Besides, what harm can a kitty do? It's like Godzilla with a cat. The cat's licking the buildings and then going to sleep. Oops. Dexter, what are you going to do? There is only one thing to do. Release the hound. Ooh. Dexter, wait, I'm coming too. No, you're not. All right, you can come. Badoom. Lots of sound effects like that. Meow. Robot dog against the robot cat. Here, kitty kitty. Here, kitty kitty. Look out! Here they come! Now how am I going to give it the antidote? I got it! Sniff, sniff, splort. How gross. Phew, I'm glad that's over with. Yeah, but it sure made me thirsty though. No! Da 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 da. Of course, it has to end with all the misery starting all over again. So yeah, that's actually quite a good comic, I think. So whoever wrote that made it fit in with the style of Dexter's Lab. And on this page we have puzzles. So yeah, magazines were full of puzzles back then for you to complete and spend lots of hours staring at them. Where it was usually like spot the difference or things like that. So you've got to figure out, which Dexter matches with the other Dexter, or work out the secret code. And they used to do all kinds of stuff like that. This is Cow and Chicken section. Oh, and it's something about doing the Macarena. So you got to raise your right hand, raise your left hand, and it gives you all the dancing instructions. Or shaking your booty with the red guy, who was the villain of Cow and Chicken, who had a very pronounced posterior, let's say. He did have a very big butt, the red guy, and and somehow they got away with that back then, with his buttocks being shown all the time. And there's the Muddy River dance too, so a lot of dancing with Cow and Chicken, even though I don't remember them dancing that much in the show. And the Flintstones, so learn how to draw Fred, which, see, these things, this is why I never learned how to draw as a kid, because you had to, it was like draw circles, then rub them out, then do this on top of it, and then do that, and do that. I could never figure out how to draw these that way. I used to just, eyeball everything and draw wherever I wanted to. And just scribble it basically. So that's why I never learned how to draw properly as a kid. I still kind of draw the same way now actually. Like even when I was making the Size Matters cartoons, I just kind of eyeball everything. I don't draw things like that. I could never learn how to do it that way. But yeah, the Flintstones were still popular back then, even though it was just being repeated from the old 60s episodes. But it was still popular, still in the zeitgeist for kids back then. So this is Networked, which is sort of the how the Cartoon Network TV channel looked at the time. And you can see stuff like Cow and Chicken was running new episodes back then. So new episodes of Cow and Chicken were still out in 1998, and Dexter's Laboratory. 5 brand new half-hour episodes. How exciting! And it tells you what time they were on too. So it was on at quarter to 8 and just after school, sort of 4:30. Yeah. So it was just before school and just after school. And weekends 9 to 10, which it was on for an hour, which I do remember watching on the weekends actually, a lot of Dexter's Lab, because they used to show 4 of them in a row, so you had a full hour compared to just on the weekdays. Weekends were better sometimes. And the random tune generator, which I guess is a marathon or something. Catch the last 4 days of random tune generator, where a new tune's never more than 7 minutes away. So that's interesting. And they were running a birthday competition as well, so Cartoon Network was 5 years old in September 1998. Unbelievable. And you could win some vouchers for the Warner Brothers Studio stores, which I don't think exist anymore, probably not. And they've got some Scooby-Doo facts as well. So did you know the following about Scooby-Doo? Frank Sinatra singing Scooby-Dooby-Doo in the song Strangers in the Night was the inspiration for the name Scooby-Doo. The famous basketball team, the Harlem Globetrotters, made 3 appearances in the new Scooby-Doo movies. William Hanna wrote the original Scooby-Doo theme. Famous horror actor Vincent Price appeared as Vincent Van Gogh in an entire season of the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Wasn't that the one where the ghosts were real? I'm sure that was one of those early Scooby-Doo things where it wasn't guys in masks. And Scrappy Doo's first appearance was in an episode that was originally transmitted in September 1979. That makes him 19 years old next month. And now it makes him like 40 something. So Scrappy Doo is old, but he never seems to age a day, does he? And there's a Dexter's Lab poster, so put that up on the wall. That's what we used to do. I would cover the wall in posters back then. And there's more Cow and Chicken. Spot the difference, see? So there's spot the difference, so you gotta figure out what the differences are. I used to suck at those, I could never work them out. I used to have to stare at this for stuff like half an hour before I'd work out what the actual differences were. And Animaniacs was being shown around this time, which I haven't seen Animaniacs in a long time. Not in a long time. Pinky and the Brain I used to watch a bit more, I think, actually. That was when they had their own show, but they did used to be part of Animaniacs. And it was on at 7:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the afternoon. On cable and satellite, of course, because you needed cable and satellite to watch Cartoon Network. And some of these characters I don't even remember, like the Hip Hippos. So Much in Love Will Almost Make You Sick. Or the Good Feathers, I do remember those were pretty funny. The Gangster Birds. And Rita and Runt. Was she the singing one? Didn't she sing songs or something like that? And of course, Yakko, Wacko and Dot, the Animaniacs, who are taking over the asylum. So yes, Animaniacs was being rerun at that time. There's another poster about Super Cow. Now this is where I say, look up in the sky. Is it something Super Cow? How was that? No, how many times do we have to rehearse this? Sheesh. Who says sheesh anymore? Does anyone still say sheesh? I don't think so. Look at these Cartoon Network lucky bags. These were, they used to make these out of everything. I remember they used to make Rugrats ones and, Dexter's Lab lucky bags, Powerpuff Girls. Everything would have a lucky bag where it would be just full of goodies like little toys and usually sour sweets, like really sour sherbets and things like that. So those were, I used to have those all the time. They included posters, pop-ups, badges, sweets, and all sorts of toontastic toys and gifts. Yes, lucky bags. They don't make those anymore, do they? So here's a Flintstones comic. So there's another. It's story time again. A lazy Sunday evening on Cobblestone Lane. Barney, old boy, this is the life. Yep, too bad reality comes crashing in every Monday morning. Don't remind me, some people have all the luck. Like who, Fred? Like our wives, they stay home all day while we break up backs on the gravel pits. This was of the time, wasn't it? Like our wives, they stay home all day while we break our backs in the gravel pit. Oh god. Gee Fred, they do all the housework. Housework, Barney, a little dusting never hurt anyone. I wish I could stay home all day and watch TV and play with the kids. You're right, Fred, I wish I had a job like that. And Kazoo's in this. Oh, I'm losing my mind. There's actually a Flintstones comic that has Gazoo in it. And for anyone who doesn't know, Gazoo was like a Flintstones character they introduced very late on. It didn't last long. That's sort of one of those jump the shark type things. So, dum-dums, you want to switch places with your wives? I'll be glad to grant that wish. Hear that, Barney? We get to stay home tomorrow. Woohoo! The Flintstones and Gazoo's girls. Oh dear, what is this gonna be? The next morning, so Fred now waking up. Yeah, Barney! Fred, you're a Frederica. Barney, Kazoo made you a Bernadette. So he turns them into women. This is definitely an image, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and you should see the razor stubble on Betty. Oh no, what about Wilma? Gazoo, hey, Gazoo. What do you Neanderthals want now? Gazoo, look at us. You wished to switch places with your wives, didn't you? We wanted to stay home like our wives, not as our wives. Well, as far as I'm concerned, your wish was granted. You two are women now. And you're going to stay women for the next 24 hours. Pop. 24 hours? I guess we're just gonna have to live with it, huh, Wilma? Yeah, Betty, but it's only one day. It might not be so bad. Anyway, I better go make Fred her breakfast. Toodles. Fred, time to get up, sleepyhead. Wilma, I was dreaming of a place where there's always 10 more minutes to sleep. Gulp. Yeah, well, don't forget to shave, dear. Yeesh. Soon. I always find that weird. Soon. Shouldn't I just say 5 minutes later? Is breakfast ready, Wilma? I could eat a stegosaur. I'll have it ready in a jiffy, Fred, dear. See, I made your favourite. Bronto bacon and pterodactyl eggs. This is my favourite. Wilma, are you feeling alright? A little later. Bye-bye, Barney. Have a nice day at the gravel pits. Fred, wait, you forgot your lunch. Gee, I'm still trying to forget breakfast. Uh-huh. So, how was breakfast, Wilma, old pal? Piece of cake, Betty, old chum? And I thought of a great way to take care of the dirty dishes. How's that? I called a plumber. He'll have to clear the dishes to get to the sink, while we explore the wonderful world of daytime TV. Why is there a rabbit on top of the TV? We now return you to Malrock Place. How can they watch TV in the prehistoric times? I'm a simple man, Anthracite. I just need to know that you need me. Slate, I can never say I need you, but what more could any woman need? Don't hide your feelings, Anthracite. Ding dong, who could that be at a time like this? Mrs. Flintstone, I'm the plumber. I'm here to fix the sink. Well, about time, come on in. Keep track of what happens on the show for me, Betty. Okay, Wilma, this romance stuff is pretty good. Romance? Wow. Stoney's the name. I sure am pleased to meet you, Miss Betty. The sink's in here, pal. You're gonna have to clean all these dishes in order to get to the sink. And can you mop the floor when you're done? I gotta get back to my show. 45 minutes later. But if the agency goes out of business, Anthracite will be ruined. I know. I'm all done in here, ladies. Gosh, are you okay? I'll get some tissues. Allow me to dry those pretty tears, Miss Betty. Hey, do you smell something? I thought that was your perfume. But I'm not wearing perfume. Funny, it smells like burning breast of pterodactyl. Dinner's ruined. That's a darn shame, Mrs. Flintstone. Stop with the Mrs. stuff. I'm an awful wife. Gee, Wilma. Maybe we can fix this mess if we work together. Sure, and I'd be happy to help you. Let's clean up and then make dinner. Doesn't Wilma ever help around the house? Not up till now. Soon. What's cooking, Stoney? Rockaroni and cheese. Men love it. It's lip-smacking good. Oh, Stoney. What is this? I was thinking, Miss Betty, it'd be right friendly of you to invite me to stay for dinner. Oh, sure, I know Bonnie would love to meet you. Miss Betty, I don't understand. Who is Bonnie? He's my husband. I reckon it was just too good to be true that someone like you would still be single. Honey, I'm home. What's for dinner? We're starved. Rockaroni and cheese, it's on the stove. Yipe! Well, I'll be going. You sure are one lucky fella. Who was that? Oh, just the plumber. He was here to fix the sink. Come on, everyone. Let's just sit down and eat. The next morning, cuckoo. Fred, where are you? Here I am, with breakfast in bed for the best wife I know. Bronto bacon and pterodactyl eggs, you darling. Are you feeling alright? Well, I feel great. Well, yabba dabba doo. That's my girl. The end. Well, the style of that was definitely a Flintstone story that could have been made in the 60s, definitely, with the sort of Freaky Friday body swapping plot. Yeah, that's definitely something, isn't it? And colouring in pages, yeah, they used to have those in magazines all the time, where you could, scribble all over them. I could never get into the lines, though. Never keep it in the lines, it would always be colours spilling everywhere outside the lines. So I wasn't very good at those. And another competition with Penelope Pitstop, courtesy of Tiger. So Tiger ran this competition where you could win 23 great gifts, and the prize was a Talkboy FX Plus pen. Now a Talkboy, I believe, was invented for Home Alone 2, wasn't it? Wasn't that the thing that Macaulay Culkin was using in Home Alone 2? I think they invented that for that movie, and then it turned into kind of a successful toy. So apparently by 1998 it was a pen where you could just record your voice onto the pen, which would probably be a pretty nice gadget back then. I would probably like one of those in school just to record little messages. The knowing my luck, the teacher probably would have snatched it from me. Another puzzle, I guess, with Top Cat, who for a while was actually known as Boss Cat over here because of a pet food dispute. There was a pet food called Top Cat, so we had to call it Boss Cat for a little bit. But of course everyone knows him as Top Cat now. Hi fans, Top Cat here, just chilling out. I was going to visit some of my Cartoon Network pals, but I've forgotten who lives where. Can you name all the tenants of Toon Towers and who is the odd one out? Yeah, so another puzzle there, and Johnny Bravo, hero of the beach. So that's a poster you could cut out of Johnny Bravo looking very multicoloured. And that's it. So they teased the next issue, which is Numero Dos. So I guess they were all in on this Spanish naming thing for the issues, which has Johnny Bravo lugging around his mother's shopping or presents, I guess. And then we have another advert for Fruit Pastels, which I guess is all those sour sweets, shaped like different body parts, which they used to make a lot of sour sweets back then. I remember Chewits had a really sour one that was, you put it in your mouth and 2 seconds later you'd be like, my tongue, I can't feel my tongue. So yeah, those were fun. Yeah, I used to like those sour sweets. So that is the end of the magazine, and on the back, of course, you have to end with a little advert for Cartoon Network on cable and satellite, because you got to promote, of course, the channel that the magazine is based on, with all the cartoons spilling out there. So yeah, that was it. The Cartoon Network magazine. It's pretty short, I suppose, but there's some fun stuff in there. The usual kind of magazine tropes that you'd see in kids' magazines back then, like all the puzzles, colouring in, stuff like that. But some interesting fun facts, like what was on the channel at the time, the things that were having new episodes, and those comics were pretty bizarre, weren't they? Especially that Flintstones one. I did like the Dexter's Lab one, though. That seemed a lot like the show. It was the ones that feel like the show, I think, were the best kind of comics, yeah. But yeah, that's it for this episode of Mayhem. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing me look through this magazine. It's just sort of a little starter pilot kind of episode. But yes, if there's a magazine from your own childhood that you want me to cover, then let me know in the comments, and I'll certainly try and seek it out, Hopefully I can find wherever people want to see, because I've got plenty of my own magazines, but if there's something that I don't have, I'll try and get hold of it. So yeah, that's it for this first episode, and I'll see you in the next video, so take care! But wait, there's more! Okay, this is a very unscripted announcement because I'm here to reveal that Back to the Past is now available on Patreon. You see, YouTube isn't exactly friendly to me for making videos about all this copyrighted content, so it makes monetizing the channel kind of impossible, but for just £2 a month, you can support the channel on Patreon. You'll get access to every new video a week early, your name at the end of every episode, and you can even take part in exclusive Patreon votes where you decide what the next VHS review will be. It's not an obligation, but if you want to support the channel, you can. I'd really appreciate it, because it means I won't ever have to talk about Raid Shadow Legends in any of these videos. Have a nice day and check out the Patreon.